Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Today, we're going to watch a special movie. It's a French movie, European movie, which is called The Musicians. And the moment I saw the title and then I watched the trailer, I thought to myself, we need to watch this movie. We do. I didn't watch it. Obviously, Amy didn't.
I haven't even seen the trailer.
Yeah, she didn't.
But the title does have me curious.
Yes. Maybe you watched it, maybe not. If you're in US, most probably not, as I know that Americans don't really care too much about European should I say that? I'll say it. Well, to my knowledge, they don't really care about European movies, generally speaking. But anyway, let's watch this movie. And
maybe you should simply say they're not aware of European movies.
They're not aware? Okay, let's not get into this. It's going to be a French movie, okay? And you know that I like European movies because they're different. And that's why from time to time you get to watch European movies here on this channel. And I hope you enjoy them. And I hope you will enjoy this one together with us. I hope we will enjoy it. We'll see.
Never know.
Let's go. First question, which is, did you like it?
I did.
You
I
did?
enjoyed it.
All right.
It was a very likable movie.
It was. The one thing, because I at the beginning I said so much, it's a European movie, whatever. It felt like a mix. It was like it is a French movie, but it felt American a bit.
Yes, it didn't feel like unmistakably French.
Mm-hmm.
If it were spoken in English rather than French, I could have easily mistaken it for an American movie.
And it was not because Where Did You Sleep Last Night?
No.
Which you recognized. She did recognize.
Dynamics, and I guess I'll talk about that.
Yeah.
At least I hope I'll remember to talk about that. Just the whole dynamics and the way it developed, the way it was presented, even the interactions between the actors.
Exactly, the dialogues.
Didn't feel incredibly French or outstandingly European. To me, they felt, shall I say, at home. Very
and one other
very naturally familiar to me as an American, which is interesting because we've talked before about some of the European movies he's had me watch, and
she was
do they really behave like this?
and
Maybe we'll get to do some of those on here.
Yeah, we should definitely. And I think I remember reading about the movie. It was presented like comedy.
This movie?
But it
comedy?
Yeah, but no. If that's what they wanted to do with it,
it's supposed to be comedy,
they beautifully failed. They beautifully failed. But no, this is no comedy. I mean,
there were humorous moments. There were moments that were.
They put a smile on my face, but not like laughing,
but not comedic. Not comedic. I wouldn't say, at least to my American sensibility.
And I don't know. I never asked you, but me, I guess this is the first movie that I watched, a movie which gives me an insight into what it takes.
Ah, that's an interesting point.
Put something like this
that's
together.
An interesting point.
And
yes.
what I liked about it, what I liked about the story is that they kind of brought in all the potential elements of such a scenario to make the most of it. I mean, you have a person who is fully in love with classical music, and especially
So one of the things that I found interesting. Okay, it's a movie, and as a musician who is familiar with, as he said, what it takes to put something together. Of course, every movie about something like that is going to feel like, oh, that's a nice story, but you just don't get the grittiness of it, right? But I wouldn't say that I am unhappy about it. It's just the nature of watching a movie in 2 hours as opposed to, spending weeks or days sweating and hoping you make the deadline. But one thing that really stood out to me about this movie is how incredibly well, as you said, they brought in all the different elements and made it fit together so nicely so that it felt very natural and realistic. The patron, some wealthy patron of the arts, a music lover, not necessarily a musician himself, but somebody, as there have always been,
a meloman. Meloman, is that always
somebody who really invests, and it's their hobby, it's their passion, and they have the money, and they'll do whatever it takes,
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's a modern patron of the arts is what is the thing that got this whole story going, right?
And so I guess that any musician would love to be involved in such a project.
Right? And then of course you have all the different musicians with all their different backgrounds and personalities and quirks and
the instruments.
And yes, because this is another real thing. The incredible beauty and passion and story behind some of these historic instruments, and the idea of having a whole quartet from one particular maker, whatever. It was a really nice thing to bring in, and they made
the location. It has to be there.
And then of course the composer.
Yes,
and having a piece commissioned. All these different elements
and the composer being alive.
Yes,
because that's the present there.
If you commission a work, which is done, and I know people.
Yeah.
It's still done. Works get commissioned. It might be a patron. It might be a performer who commissions a work. It might be an organization for whatever reason. But you find a composer whose style you like. And you commission them to write a work specifically for an occasion or a person or something like that. And so we have this also in the movie. Right. A new work was commissioned, and then you get to see along the way a little bit of the style and what inspires this particular composer. And how he relates to music and his interests and all of these interesting things, which they managed to bring in, and it felt so easy, so natural, so non-forced. And I guess that's what I appreciate about it. Of course, you have the ignorance of the non-musicians as they're trying to, as they have this ideal performance in their mind, and they want to make it just perfect and beautiful
on one hand, and on the other hand,
but they have no clue about things like, I guess towards the end, as they're choosing the place in the church to perform. Yeah, but they put the platform there.
You're talking about the lady.
Yes, but
then on the other hand, you have her brother who was like, "You paid that much for a violin? What is this?"
No, but I'm talking about the people who are passionate and who are really supporting. Okay. And
but I'm saying you have all the spectrum in the movie. That's what I like.
You have the whole spectrum, but it goes into the dynamics of you have a wealthy patron who wants to support and has a vision, but doesn't necessarily understand all the ramifications of what they're choosing. And
since they're not a musicians.
They're not a sound specialist, or they're not a lighting, and so you have all these different professions and experiences coming together, and then you get down to the wire, and it's like, oh, are we going to pull this off or not? And the politics and the clashes in between the musicians themselves.
And it was scheduled to go on air live.
Yes.
So really, you have everything that you could have. I don't know.
Yes.
Was there any other possible scenario that is missing from there?
So one of the things in the movie that felt a little bit like, oh, okay, that put that in for the story, and yes, it did add to the drama of it, but is really unlikely. Although it was kind of fun to put it in there. Was the idea of the composer rewriting the piece.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's pushing it a bit. Yeah. But it was fun. It was nice. And towards the end, as it was showing the performance, I was thinking, oh, finally. Oh, well, so many things to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Finally, I get to hear this whole work that he's composed. And all along, I was intrigued by this piece of music. You know, it's like, okay, I didn't know that it was written specifically for the movie.
Yes.
I was thinking, where did they get this from? Did they write it for the movie, or did they pick something that already exists? How did this develop? And it wasn't surprising to me to find that it was written for the movie. But it's a suite. It's a whole suite, and I wanted to hear all the movements because it had showed clips of this and snippets of that in the rehearsal. And my one big disappointment at the end was they played the first movement, kind of the prelude, the introduction. And I was looking forward to a whole performance, like the whole broadcast. I wanted to hear it. I was like, oh, I want to hear how it...
Look, maybe we should look for it. Let's look. Maybe there is somewhere.
Well, that's why I made you go through the whole credits. Because I wanted to see who composed it.
She did.
And I discovered that it was composed for the movie, which means most probably nothing else exists because they just composed what was needed for the movie. There probably isn't a whole suite in existence. Okay. That's why I was disappointed. I'm like, oh man, it started off pretty nice.
But
and in so talking about the stylistic elements of this commissioned piece, you know, going into it shows he's inspired by nature and Vivaldi and all of that. And as I was listening to the rehearsals develop, I was thinking, yeah, there are things about this that remind me of Respighi, you know, the ancient airs and dances, this sort of neo-Baroque or modern reinterpretation of some of the older musical styles. And it was very clearly, and I could feel the links between something like Vivaldi and what came into existence in this piece. So fun stuff, which to me as a musician, I could appreciate. As I said, it doesn't go in super gritty detail.
Yes.
It can't. It's a movie.
Yes.
But there was enough there, and I'm familiar enough with all the different processes and elements that it did not feel faked and it did not feel artificial. It didn't feel contrived. Even the fact that the musicians playing were not miming. I was looking closely and I could see clearly that it was not mimed performances, which means the actors are enough of musicians to be able to perform well, and not just perform well, but act in their performing. Yes. So a really, really nice job.
Now, one other thing is the title and the story. So the title is not the suite. The title is
the musicians.
The musicians.
And it does focus on.
But at the same time, although during the movie, of course, we get to know a little bit of each of the musician, and there's a little bit of drama developing.
And you have to have a bit of drama.
Yes.
You have to have some outdoor hiking to let off steam. You have to have all that stuff.
But the thing is that at the end, the focus is not the group of the musicians, and how did this drama end, and how did they continue their relationship and whatnot. No, it's the suite. It's the music.
Well, because
it's the plan, which after all the efforts and and all the bumps, and it came together at the right time, and it was good. So it's an interesting play between the music itself and the musicians. And I like it because at the end of the day, what I see is that the movie shows us, look, they are together. Of course, one cannot exist with the other. And this movie came to give me, not you, because you know, I don't know. As I said, this is the first movie and I've never been obviously involved in anything like that. But to give me an idea, just an idea of, okay, what does it take really? And what's the dynamics and what's involved? It's a beautiful movie.
Yes, and I think it also makes another point as well. And that is that we see all along the movie the workings, the inner workings, and the musicians, their struggles, their personalities, the clashes, the hurdles that have to be crossed to bring this to fruition. But in the end, even though it is the musicians, it is the music. And it makes the point that musicians really, their life is about music. Yes. It's not about them. Although, look, we musicians, we're a strange bunch. There are plenty of us that are neurotic and crazy and touchy and difficult to work with, and personalities are strong and clashes happen, and it can feel like...
Here's the honest Amy.
It can feel like we're, you can feel like you're dealing with a whole bunch of divas, It's like, can you just not make it about you? But in the end, every single one of those individuals, it's who they are, but they are still striving towards the same goal. And that is why, in the end, they were able to put it together. Because as much as there is a whole lot of individuality, which is very strong and doesn't always agree with the other individuals, in the end, they're all striving towards the same goal, and that is the music. That is the goal, the mission of the musician.
And you say the music. I want to be more specific. It's not only about them, the musicians, and I want to say it's not even about their work. It's about the sound.
Yes.
It's about the sound that eventually is produced. And of course,
the music
the
itself.
Sound. Yes, the sound. And of course, I remember.
And in that moment, the musicians disappear. They fade into the background. And that is our ambition as a musician, is to disappear.
And of course, when we talk about this, I cannot but remember Celi Bidache and his obsession with the sound and not even allowing anyone to record it because they won't be able to produce that sound, the obsession with the sound.
Speaking of somebody with a very strong personality and some very unique quirks and opinions.
Right, but the personality and the obsession and the craziness, it was not about himself, Celi Bidache, or themselves, musicians. Maybe some are not like that, but I know generally it's at the end, it's about the sound. It's about the sound. That's what it is.
And it makes the point that a lot of the people that we perceive as being egotistical or wanting to be in the spotlight,
or harsh and hard just because they can and they have the authority.
We often perceive them as wanting it to be all about them. But I think that this movie is very good in, again, making the point that yes, they do have a big ego and they do like to be in the spotlight or whatever, but at the same time, they are still dedicated to being a musician. And when they're able to catch the vision, when they're able, and sometimes it takes a lot of effort, a lot of personal effort to put aside that ego and that pride of being the great
X,
whatever. But still they have that in them, the striving towards perfection, which is to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice. It's nice. I guess I didn't talk about In the Pines, right?
Yes.
So when that came, I thought, what an interesting choice for a French movie. But I was captivated by it because, as you know, this is a piece that I first became acquainted with.
Nirvana.
With Nirvana
Yes.
on the Virgin Rock channel and all. And I haven't listened to it in a more classical or... And I was captivated and I was listening and thinking, what a beautiful arrangement. I like it. I like it. And so I grabbed my phone and looked up, and sure enough, that arrangement is actually available for purchase. It's a pity I'm not a string player. For the first time in my life, I'm saying, I'm sorry, I'm not a string player. I'd find someone to play it with.
You're not a string player?
Violins, bowed strings. It had violin in it. I'm not...
It has strings.
Right. It's an arrangement that works beautifully with voice and bowed strings.
Both, okay.
It is truly beautiful. And if anyone out there plays violin and wants to put it together, try it out. It's utterly beautiful, in my opinion. Nice arrangement.
Yeah, well, let us know what was your experience with this movie, with the musicians, the French movie with an American flavor.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's just the modern flavor. I don't know.
No.
But it does
It's
feel
different.
quite American.
It's different.
Yeah.
Very different. Yeah. So let us know what your experience was, and of course any other ideas about the topic. And we'll see you soon.